Hi everyone, it's Miss Knudsen. Today we are going to learn about dividing monomials. But before we get there, your joke of the day is, what do you call your friends who love math? And I will tell you the answer at the end of the video. Okay? So dividing monomials, our learning target, I can divide monomials. We're going to use a lot of the same skills that we use for multiplying monomials to help us divide. Okay? So first, if we have quotient of powers, that's two monomials divided by each other, right? So let's look at this first one. You have c to the 11th divided by c to the 8th. Okay, well, I'm going to write this all out. It's going to be a lot, but if we have c to the 11th, that gives us c times c for, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 C's. That's all going to be divided by 8 C's. Okay, I'm just showing you this so we can figure out where this comes from. Okay, so there's 4 there, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, well, now we have all of these C's, right? And we're just dividing them, and everything's being multiplied. So let's just cancel out as many C's as we can. Okay, I'm going to use a different color so we can see what's going on. Let's do red. Okay, so we have a C there, C there. Okay, for everyone we cancel out on the top, we have to cancel one out on the bottom. Okay, there you go. Let's keep going. Top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. Oh, and that's it. All right, we don't have any more left on the bottom, so we can't cancel out any more on the top. So now we're just left with 3 C's on the top, which is equal to c cubed. Okay, pretty cool. Those all cancel out. Now let's look over at this next one. We have r to the 5th divided by r squared. Okay, well, let's see what happens this time. Okay, this is a few less to write out. So we have r times r, 3, 4, okay, 5 r's divided by 2 r's. And again, we'll cancel out. So for 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom. Okay, and we are left with 3 r's. So our answer is going to be r cubed. Okay, so if we zoom back out, right, we can think about, all right, we have c to the 11th over c to the 8th gave us c to the 3rd, and r to the 5th over r squared, that gave us r cubed. Okay, so it looks like we're subtracting the exponents. So when we have a quotient of powers, we are going to subtract the exponents. Now that we have that rule figured out, let's do some with multiple variables. Okay, so if we have g to the 3rd divided by that g, well, that's really g to the 1st, right? So g to the 3rd over g to the 1st, well, we take 3 minus 2, and that will give us g squared. Okay, and then h to the 5th divided by h squared, 5 minus 2 gives us h to the 3rd. Right, and one more. K to the 7th over k to the 5th, that'll give us k to the 2nd. Subtract that 7 and the 5. Now if we subtract the 10 and the 3 for the m's, we get m to the 7th. Now this p is a little different, so we have a p to the 1st here on the top and a p to the 1st on the bottom. Well, 1 minus 1 is 0, so that gives us p to the 0. And we remember that anything to the 0 power is always going to equal 1. So this, we can just say, okay, that's 1, which means our final answer is going to be k squared m to the 7th times 1, which is just k squared m to the 7th. All right, so just reviewing, if we have a quotient of powers, the division of two monomials, we are going to subtract the exponents. Now if we have a power of a quotient, so that's the division of a monomial raised to a power, let's think about what we might do there. Well, we know the exponent just means that we're multiplying that thing by itself that many times, right? So if we have something to the 4th power, we multiply that by itself 4 times. So let's write that out. okay, just to see where these all come from. So this is really x over t to the fourth is really x over t times x over t times x over t times x over t. Okay, and now we can just think about it as we're multiplying fractions, right? So we multiply across the numerators and multiply across the denominators. Well, these are really all x to the 1, right? Because it's just a single x. And when we're multiplying with exponents, with like bases, we just add the exponents. So we end up with x to the 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 x's, so x to the 4th. Same thing with all of the t's, so it's x to the 4th over t to the 4th. Okay, so really what we did is we just raised the numerator to that power and then raised the denominator to that power. Okay, let's look at this one here, r over t cubed. Okay, so if we raise the numerator to the power, we end up with, well, this is r to the first, right? And when we're raising a power to a power, we multiply. So we have r to the third, multiply those exponents. And then if we're going to raise the denominator to the third power. Well, again, t to the first, we multiply the 1 and the 3 to end up with t cubed. That's a t. Okay, r cubed over t cubed. Now this one has some numbers in it, so let's make sure we're careful there with what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to raise each part to the third power. So we're going to do 3 to the third and x to the 4th to the third, all over 4 to the third. Now you may not need to write this step every time, but it's going to be helpful for us when we're still learning, okay? So if we have 3 to the third, that gives us 27. Okay, we can just put that in our calculator. And then we have x to the 4th to the third. Okay, we're raising a power to a power, so we should end up with, we should multiply those exponents. So we get x to the 12th. And then that's going to be divided by 4 to the third. If we put that in our calculator, we'll get 64. Okay, so 27x to the 12th divided by 64. One last one. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to write out all of those steps. So we get 2, so we have this 2 here, 2 squared, y squared, squared, right? We have to square each part of the numerator and also the denominator. So then we'll have 3 to the power of 2 and z to the third to the power of 2. Okay? And then we have 2 squared, well, that gives us 4. And y squared squared, power to a power, we multiply the exponents, keep the base, so that gives us y to the 4th, divided by 3 squared, which is 9, and z to the third to the second, okay, power to a power again, we multiply the exponents, keep the base, so we get z to the 6th. Okay, so then if we have a power of a quotient, we are going to raise the numerator and the denominator to that power. Okay? All right, so I know you've all been waiting. The answer to the joke of the day. What do you call your friends who love math? Well, of course, you call them your algebros. All right, have a great day. Thanks for watching.